Super Mario 3D All-Stars has been out for quite a while now. We got our nostalgia feel with Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and of course, Super Mario Galaxy. But one thing that I definitely want to do is go over what is the best boss out of all three of these games combined. So today we will be ranking 34 different boss battles within the Mario 3D All-Stars collection. Now, we also got rid of any duplicates within a game, so if you fought a boss multiple times, like multiple different versions of the same Bowser fight, or multiple different versions, say, of PETEY Piranha, we definitely had to combine those boss fights, or it would be a list of almost 50 different bosses. Also, the criterion in which the bosses will be ranked on is how difficult the boss was, how unique or how fun it was, and how the environment worked with the boss as well, and what impact that boss had within the battle itself. So without further ado, let's get into our list of the top 34 boss battles within Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Coming in at number 34 and starting our list, we have Big Boo from Mario 64. Now this boss really didn't even feel like a boss, more just like a giant enemy. It wasn't even a King Boo, but rather a Big Boo, and in the DS remake, they actually turned it into King Boo and made it a proper fight, but we're talking about 64, the original here. So you really just run into this guy and kind of hit him 3 times and he's dead. And it's kind of difficult on the balcony because you could fall off, but besides that, there's really nothing much to this boss fight. Next up, we have Mandibug Stack. Now this one also didn't feel like a boss fight. It's just a Mandibug with a baby Mandibug on top of it, and it takes literally 2 ground pounds in order to defeat this thing. Not really that difficult, but definitely better than the Boo from Mario 64. Towards the beginning of your gameplay of Super Mario Sunshine, you'll have to fight these things called polluted piranhas, and it's very simple. They open their mouth, you spray, they go back in, they come out. It's the same thing over and over and over again, and you just fight different versions of this thing. Really not difficult, no problem at all. It's almost like a walkthrough for bosses in the very beginning before you get to some of the more difficult bosses in the game, but definitely a lower boss on this list. I think at this time we all know that Shadow Mario is none other than Bowser Jr. But Shadow Mario within Mario Sunshine has a very simple boss fight. He runs through the stage and you have to spray him. And there's nothing outside of that. There's never really a sequence where you have to 1v1 battle him, it's just a chase down. So that's it. Number 30, Wiggler from Mario 64. Wiggler in this game is incredibly easy. He doesn't even really get mad like he does in the future games. Instead, you just jump on him and there you go. You jump on him 3 times, he's dead. An incredibly easy boss, but still a little bit more detailed than the rest on this list. King BOB-OMB is another simplistic boss. He just walks around the top of a mountain, you go behind him, pick him up, and don't even throw him off the mountain. You just throw him back on the same platform 3 times. Now, I think I like the scenery of this. That's the reason why it's up a lot higher than the other ones, because he's the king of the BOB-OMBs. He's on top of the mountain, and you gotta make your way up to fight him. It's kind of like a final battle at BOB-OMB Battlefield, even though it's not what I had in mind for a final battle there. BRRR is kind of in the same playing field as King BOB-OMB. They're both at the top of their own respective mountains, and you have to make your way up and fight a pretty easy boss fight with both of them. BRRR just drops to the ground and you spin him and just run him over 3 times. He's just like the little birds and you just do it to him just because he's bigger. Nothing difficult here, he just kind of just sits up there. Monty Moles in Super Mario Sunshine are a lot cooler than some of the ones we see in recent days. They shoot bullet bills and bombs at you at the same time, and even have seeking bullet bills, which is pretty neat. Now, you get closer and he throws only bombs, and you have to throw them back at him by spraying them, picking them up, and tossing them, which really isn't too bad for a little boss battle. Chili Bully is not as good as regular Bully in my opinion because it's kind of a rinse and repeat. It's the same thing, but we've already got Bully first earlier on in this game, so it's kind of just like, oh, here's an ice one now. But you kind of bump these guys back and forth in order to bump them into the either ice below or fire below. Which then leads us to number 25 being the regular Big Bully. Now this one was kind of cool at first because it was kind of hard to figure out what you do to bump him into the lava, and sometimes he could be very tricky, especially with the little bullies all over the place as well, and it was just a big sparring match of bouncing back and forth. Womp King sits on top of his fortress and just tries to fall down and crush Mario. It's very simple. You can actually glitch your way through the Womp King himself by doing a ground pound right as he falls down, and you can just hit his back 3 times. Incredibly easy, doesn't get more difficult, but I think it is a cool boss fight that actually leads to this character becoming a main enemy staple for the game, and eventually having another boss battle throwback that's a lot better in Super Mario Galaxy 2. Top Maniac actually looks a lot cooler than he is when he comes down from space and lands, but unfortunately it's very easy. He has a giant button on top of his head, and all you have to do is jump on top of that, which then puts him into a rumbling state where he cannot control himself, and his spikes decrease. You then have to spin him and knock him into the nearby lasers and repeat the process. It's really not that hard. He moves a little bit faster towards the third round, but besides that, nothing changes too much with this boss battle. Unlike the Mandibug stack, Bug-A-Boom is actually really good. He flies around this giant tree, and it's your job to twirl yourself on a dandelion, fly up with a bee, and ground pound him when he flies below you. This can actually be very difficult on the third round because he likes to turn and invert his body, which might make it very difficult to land on his big flat space on his back. Now, I never was a big Major Burrows fan growing up. I just never really liked this boss battle and always had a very difficult time chasing him down on that third hit. But what you have to do to defeat this guy is ground pound, get him out of the dirt, smack him, and then, you repeat this. But he gets very difficult because once you ground pound, he gets angry, comes at you again, you have to ground pound once again, chase him down, which can be very difficult because he actually picks up some speed, and smack him across the planet. This one was just never a really favorite boss of mine, and I still, to this day, I just don't know why. I just don't like this guy. Coming in at number 20, we have Bowser Jr. for Mario Galaxy. Now, in this game, he has his own little mini airship, and it's your job to throw shells and launch them at the ship in order to blow it up. He's shooting cannonballs at you, and he can shoot various different things, including a Kamek that also shoots fireballs and all kinds of enemies coming at you as well. It's not an incredibly amazing boss fight, but it is pretty interesting with Bowser Jr. and his little ship, to say the least. Mario Sunshine's King Boo is a weird one, for sure, and it's not an incredible boss fight as well, but it is very interesting compared to the rest on this list. You have a slot machine that you'll spin through and hopefully get the lucky slots, which gives you fruit. In turn, you have to throw the chili pepper into his tongue, followed by any other fruit to blow him up or whatever that does. I don't really understand the concept of it, but it's fun. You can also get enemy slots and also water refill slots and all kinds of random things, and it just makes the battle even more interesting. King Boo never really attacks himself, but rather the enemies, and luck itself is the main attack here. Normally, I love the ending to video games, but the ending of Super Mario Sunshine isn't the greatest. No, I'm not talking about the lava boat in Corona Mountain, but I'm talking about the giant hot tub at the top of the mountain with Bowser and Bowser Jr. Bowser Jr. shoots bullet bills as Bowser tries to breathe fire and hit Mario. All you have to do is run around the hot tub and hit all the pressure points with your rocket nozzle in order to flip the thing over. Yep, that's it. You never really touch Bowser Jr., you never fight them one-on-one, there's nothing of the such. Just a rocket nozzle and giant ground pounding. That's about it. DINO and Fiery Dino Piranha are in the same category. They're basically the same, just one's on fire and one's a little bit more difficult. Your job is to destroy this baby piranha for no reason. Yeah, pretty much. You break his egg for no apparent reason and start battling this thing, and you have to smack his tail in order for it to counteract, come back, and smack him in the head. You have to do this 3 times, and you reign victorious. It's not too difficult, but it is kind of cool how you're running around this planet away from this thing, and the planet's not that big, so you have to make sure you hit those powerful cuts, or you will get trampled over. EELY Mouth is very known for being one of the most annoying bosses in Mario Sunshine and really Mario history. But I still find it to be very interesting and very unique for a boss fight. How often can you say you have to brush an eel's teeth in order to defeat it? Not often, that's why it's pretty bad. But it's still one of my favorites to be in the middle of this list here. I think it's pretty cool. You're in the water and you're spraying jet streamed water at this eel's teeth and getting rid of his cavities and cleaning his dirty teeth. It's pretty cool, and I thought it was very interesting, and it's not too bad once you get the hang of it. I played this for many years, and I can tell you it's not too bad now. It's actually a really cool boss fight, and it's very unique within the Mario universe. Hey, you're still here, so that means we're just over halfway through the list. If you like what you're seeing so far, leave a like on the video. It helps a lot, and feel free to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this in the future. Number 15, Undergrunt Gunner. Now, you have to fight this guy multiple times within Super Mario Galaxy, and there's different ways to do so each time. One time you might be Mario and have to fly your way up to him, and then the next time you might have to use Spring Mario, as hard and difficult as it is, in order to spring your way to the top. This version was my favorite because it was very difficult to dodge all of his electric gumballs and then bounce all the way to the top and then use an incredibly strong ground pound with the spring. And it just felt very satisfying to break his glass and destroy him once and for all. Next up, we have Gooper Blooper, and it's probably one of the most graphic boss battles within the Mario franchise. You're ripping off an octopus's arms. That's correct. You're ripping off the tentacles and then pulling his mouth and slingshotting it back at him in order to shoot him into the water. It's very gruesome if you think about it, and it's kind of mean. But yes, that's pretty much the same thing you do round and round over and over again. You fight this guy about 3 times throughout your adventure in this game, and it's the same thing. You clear up the ink, pull his arms off, and then pull his mouth. And no, we did not forget about Mario 64. IROC comes up next, and it's a very interesting boss that we actually see kind of repeated a lot in the future of Mario games. Maybe not by the same name, but we've seen this a lot, the two giant hands. Well, this time you have two giant hands, and you have to hit the eyeballs on the hands, but they blink and close their eyes from time to time, and you have to wait for them to open. In the meantime, IROC is trying to punch you off the ledge, push you off, clap you, and slam you on the ground, which is very interesting, and to me, one of the more interesting bosses in the entire game. I remember as a kid how much I loved King Kalienте. He isn't that difficult, but it was so much fun to go back and forth hitting fruit with each other. It's kind of reminded me of Dead Man's Volley from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time when Link went up against Ganondorf. And this was kind of the same thing. You kept battling by shooting the fruit back and forth with each other, and it got kind of difficult and would speed up. I loved this. It was kind of like a tennis match between you and King Kaliente, and I thought this was super fun. And of course, this also was an element that returned in Mario Galaxy 2 that I loved a lot. KAMELLA is like Kamek, but on crack. She is extremely strong and has a magical, powerful wand with a power star inside of it. What she can do is throw fireballs, summon more Kameks, and also pull out her very own shell of herself, which you'll have to pick up and throw it back at her. She can also change the tide of battle by moving up to a higher ground and making the playing field very small and easy to get hit by any type of projectile. I actually thought this character was really unique and really fun to battle. We now move on to our top 10, starting the list off with number 10, Tarantox. This is a giant intergalactic space spider that you have to sling pod yourself in order to break his bulbous poison spots on his stomach. Yeah, it sounds gross, but it's the only way to do it. Actually, you kind of have to hit his butt first in order to flip him over and then hit these spots 3 times. And it's kind of interesting because I thought it was very cool to have a battle with a space spider. I don't know why, but it just works so well. He's actually kind of difficult too because you have to continue moving around this circular planet in order to not get sprayed by his acid juices. We have Wiggler again, but this time for Super Mario Sunshine. This guy is a very angry Wiggler, unlike the one from 64, and he is on a rampage, for a good reason. You knocked him off his tower with all these different mirrors shining light on him, and now he's mad and he's causing havoc all over the beach. You have to spray these little plants in order to bring out these weird sandcastle structures in order to make him trip. A red arrow will appear over one of the various segments of his body, which indicates that you need a ground pound on one of those segments. And even at the end, he'll fly all the way out into the water and you have to make your way all the way out there and ground pound one of the segments. Hopefully that's not flooded in water. But this is a pretty cool boss fight for sure. MEGALEG is not that difficult, and it is one of the very first main bosses of Mario Galaxy, but it is incredible. It's a giant robot on a teensy-wincy little planet that you'll have to scale its entire body in order to get to its head where the power star lies. Once you do so, you'll be getting shot at by bullet bills the entire time, and you have to have one, guided by you, go into the top of his head and break free the power star, which can actually be very difficult and still gave me kind of a problem today. It's not too often we get a humongous boss battle in a Nintendo game, and I just really love taking advantage of stuff like this, and it finally happened here in Mario Galaxy. Number 7, PETEY Piranha. This is where he makes his debut, where he appears in almost every Nintendo game after this. I mean, in RPGs, in Paper Mario, Mario & Luigi, Mario sports titles. I love it. But PETEY Piranha is pretty cool. You have to completely flood his mouth and his body with water in order to make him bloated and ground pound on his stomach. And then the second time, you have to shoot one of these little water creatures at him in order to wake him up and shoot him down from the sky in order to repeat that previous process. And as doing so, he's flying around the village, covering everything in goop. It's actually a really fun, interesting boss battle that utilizes the entire world for the battle itself. And I know lots of Sunshine's bosses does this, even Wiggler did, but this one just felt different and it felt really cool as if the village was under attack and you really had to help save the day. Number 6, King Fin. Mario goes to the Bonefin Galaxy in order to cause disturbance upon what seems to be a peaceful fish that really wasn't bothering anybody on his own peaceful planet. It's a creepy looking planet, but it's actually one of the sweetest looking galaxies within Mario Galaxy. Once there, you have to swim through the water with shells in order to launch them at King Fin himself, which then he'll get upset and bring out his King Fin little babies. And they will start attacking you as well as you're still trying to hit King Fin with shells. And it's actually kind of cool to swim under the water and throw shells. And it's a very unique way to fight a boss battle that we haven't seen yet underwater, which I found to be pretty pleasing. Yes, we kind of fought the eel and brushed his teeth underwater, but this one definitely was a lot better. We're actually doing some action here rather than brushing. Number 5, we have Bouldergeist. This is a giant apparition covered in different types of rock, and it's your job to use the bamboos in order to slam them into his rocks to break free the spirit. And it's actually a pretty unique boss fight. He eventually grows hands and tries to hit you, even though his punches and attacks are extremely slow, and it's almost impossible to get hit by this guy. But it's really fun to swing these boos around by their tongue and slam them into the rocks in order to blow it up, and eventually defeat the spirit himself. Number 4, Mecha Bowser. Mario Sunshine had one of the most unique boss fights ever by fighting a boss while on a roller coaster at an amusement park using rockets. Yes, I'm not kidding. You'll go throughout a roller coaster, dodging bullet bills that's going along the tracks by squirting them with water and eventually picking up rockets along the way, which you can fire at Mecha Bowser. This is very cool because you can try to do quick, cool shots with the rockets by shooting them through loops, going under corkscrews, and all kind of crazy stuff throughout the entire map. And you can see the map as you're fighting the boss itself. This is the epitome of a unique boss battle. Number 3, Bowser Mario 64. This is the iconic Bowser boss battle where, of course, you grab Bowser by his tail and spin him around. It is super fun to spin him around and chuck him into bombs even today. And I just love this boss battle. Of course, the last one is a lot better because you have to do it 3 times as the stage shifts itself, and Bowser has more attacks as he runs at you and also spits fire. But of course, he doesn't say his iconic line anymore, "So long, gay Bowser," but instead says, "Bye-bye." Number 2, our runner-up, Phantom Manta. This is a transparent clear manta ray that comes from the ocean in order to engulf a hotel and the civilians in sticky electric ink. Now, it's your job to spray this thing in order to duplicate it into many different versions, and that's the whole boss battle. It's squirting this thing as it breaks apart into many, and even super many pieces of manta ray. And at the end, they'll all team up on you and try to attack you all at once instead of going in random patterns. Now, I remember as a kid, I was completely overwhelmed by these things and I could not figure out how to beat it, but with the spam spray, it's really not that much of a challenge, but just an incredibly unique boss battle that I loved for sure. It was very creepy and still has that creepy factor today. And finally, the number 1 boss battle in Super Mario 3D All-Stars is the final boss battle with Bowser in Super Mario Galaxy. Well, this battle was amazing. I already love the Bowser battle in general, smacking him around the planet, but this time it's separated within 3 different phases. The first phase, he is a giant boulder, which you have to break through where his head is peeking out, and then keep smacking him around the planet. Phase 2, he's a giant spike ball, and you had to use the plants this time around in order to smack them into him to get him flying around the planet again and smacking him back and forth. And then the third phase is his regular phase, which is still an incredible boss battle as he's spinning around the planet, shooting fireballs, and also creating shockwaves to try to attack you. He'll then try to jump on top of you, landing on one of the lava glass domes, running around the planet with his tail on fire, which you can smack him back and forth across the planet, which I think is one of the most satisfying things to date to fight Bowser with. It's just smacking him with a spin and getting that cool ending of Mario just smacking him in the face with his spin is one of the most, just feel-good moments, I think, in a Mario boss battle. I love this battle, and it is one of the most satisfying endings to a Mario game. Well, guys, that is our list of all 34 boss battles ranked from Super Mario 3D All-Stars from the game Super Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy. Guys, let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this listing. This is just my opinion and how I felt, so obviously everybody's going to differ. But were there anything that we had alike? Was there anything that you guys had different? Do you think anything should have changed? Or did I miss a boss and just completely forget about it? But thank you to each and every one of you guys for tuning in. And like always, I'll see you in the next one. See you guys.